Hey y'all, so I wanted to do a video. I know it's been a really long time. So much has happened. I promise you guys that I will bring you up to speed. I haven't done a video since 2020 and a lot has happened. There has been a lot that happened to me. Like I said, I will definitely bring you guys up to speed. So today I wanted to talk about a topic. I was born and raised in New York City, and a lot of times when we're, for example, I'm a Brooklynite, very proud of my roots where I'm from, and I wanted to say that sometimes, I feel like sometimes you're so in love with something that you have to take a step back and then you realize your worth. So I'm not creating this video to say anything negative about New York City, but I wanted to create this video because I've been in Florida for the past 3 years. I grew up in New York City, a very large city, a lot to offer. It's a city that, if you go there to be something to create your life, it would happen. You just have to believe in yourself. There's a saying that goes, if you could make it in New York, you could make it anywhere. That is 100% true. I agree with it. New York City has taught me so much. So basically, like I said, this is coming um, from my heart. It's not coming from a place of negativity. I'm not bashing my hometown. Those of you New Yorkers, as you call yourself, Brooklynites, whatever. Some of you will relate, some of you will not. So I'm going to keep it short and simple. So I've been living in Florida for 3 years, and today I was just doing a lot of reflection. Some of it, I was trying to speak it out because I'm someone who believes in journaling my thoughts. Like I like to write on paper. There's something natural about that. So I was basically talking out loud, not to myself, like recording, whatever. And I said to myself, wow, there was like so many memories coming up. Let me just get to it. So one time I was I was very young. I was probably like in my 20s, and I was working in Manhattan. All I remember, I used to stop at this Dunkin' Donut on 34th Street. This is New York City. And I was in a Starbucks because I remember I had my little iPod, whatever. This was years ago, and I was trying to download the Starbucks app. And then, so I was trying, I don't know if it was a Dunkin' Donut or a Starbucks. I think it was one of them. But nevertheless, when I realized I did not know what I wanted to purchase, I turned around and there was this lady behind me, a white lady behind me, blonde hair, whatever. And I turned around and I said to her, you can go. Like she could skip me because I was still deciding what I wanted to order. And she had a look of disgust on her face. And I never forgot that look. And then when I turned around, there was another guy behind her, another guy, African American, and he also had a look on his face like it was kind of like a look like "How dare you?" And it happened. I don't remember what I did next. I don't know if I turned around and just completely ignored her. And it's funny because this happened many years ago, and I was saying to myself why this is surfacing now. Like I said, I've been in the South for 3 years. And like I said, I will create a video to have you guys catch up between 2020 and 2025. But I think a lot of this started surfacing because I was actually thinking of returning to New York City for a bit. And and you know how sometimes you sit there and you start reflecting, is this what I want to go back to? So I have so many other stories I can share because, like I said, I lived in New York City for 30 years. In 30 years, you can imagine the number of stories, memories, and things of that I can share. But so far, that one stood out to me. And another one was I was on a train once, and there was this Asian lady. I don't know if she was Chinese, Japanese, but she was Asian, and she was on the bus and she had a son, and the son kept moving around like he was kind of like bouncing on the train, whatever. And there was like a little seat next to me, and then I was sitting there and I was trying to get her attention to tell her, have your son come sit next to me. And all of a sudden, like, I just couldn't get her attention, and I'm over here like, wait a minute, like I'm waving my hands at her, whatever, just trying to get her attention so that she could just tell the boy to sit down. Obviously, it was none of my business, but I was just, trying to help as a good Samaritan because obviously it's a child. And like I said, it took a couple of years later to realize she was intentionally ignoring me, you know? She just did not want to speak to me. And it's typical New York City behavior. We feel like we don't have to speak to anybody. We could just go about ourselves and be rude, and that's okay. And that's fine. I lived in New York. I know how it is, you know. Um, so that's two of the things that stood out to me. The third thing that stood out to me was I used to work as a demonstrator. And this was a couple of years ago. This was like probably 2013, 14, 15. And what I would do is I would go to stores like you've seen these people, like they wear the hats and the aprons, whatever, and they're giving you like free things to taste. And I love that job because I'd have people come up to me every week. There was a demo. I used to work that job on the weekends, sometime on the Friday after school. And I think I started working there after college because I graduated during the recession. So it was tough. So I worked there part time, and there was one time I had a manager. He was from Long Island. That's all I know. He was white and he was from Long Island. And a lot of times I would speak to him, and you know, I tend to have like a Caribbean accent. So again, like I said, it took me many years to kind of put the pieces together. So whenever I would speak to him, sometimes I would speak fast because, you know, it's New York City. We just speak fast. And then there was one time he was always like, what are you saying? Like, huh, huh? Like he would say it really, really loud. And I'm over here thinking he's just trying to understand what I'm trying to say, but I didn't put the pieces together to realize that he was just being rude, like just being a rude person. So like I said, like I'm sharing, I have many other stories to share, and my channel is not a channel where I want people to come here and feel sorry for me because I don't need anyone's pity, but it's really a place for me to connect, you know. There have been other New Yorkers like myself who have left or who have left temporarily and come back and seen New York City in a new light. When you live in New York City, it's so hard, it's so easy, excuse me, to fall into this pattern of thinking you know somebody. And just by what borough they live in, what street they're from, what community they're from. I remember when I was like in, I think it was like about to graduate to go to college, was it? No, I was in junior high school, and we had this teacher come in. It was a white teacher, and he was saying, well, about a third of you or half of you will end up going to prison. And I do believe to this day that he said that because he was dealing with a minority school. So it's just to show you that based on where you live and based on who you are, people usually think that they could tell you your future. But that's not always the case because we have so many stories of people who've been raised in environments where nobody thought it was possible and they became successful. So um so after I was doing all of this, like sharing, like verbally, whatever, a part of me started getting emotional because, like I said, when you're born somewhere, you don't really think, like, when you look back, you don't put all of these microaggressions together, all of this racism and all of these things together. You just think, hey, it's just a city. And a lot of times when you mention it to people, they're like, well, it's New York. Like, that's just how we do it over here. And I'm like, I hear that, but then a part of me is like, I think there's another layer to that. And we don't want to really call it what it is, but really it's just blatant racism. Like, New York City is a city, but New York City doesn't make it okay for people to behave the way they do, or to treat other people, or to think a certain way about other people. That's not what New York City is about. And anyone who's, you know, propagating that is should not even be talking, you know. New York City is a place of immigrants. It's a place of opportunity. It's a place that where we accept different cultures. It's not a place for microaggressions or for racism or for people, for you to be afraid to turn around on a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donut and have somebody look at you with a disgusting look on their face because of the color of your skin. That's not what New York City stands for. And New York City would never stand for that. So I wanted to do this video. I feel really good, but I will definitely upload a video about what's been going on since 2020, a quick run around, and to kind of catch you guys up to speed. I might upload maybe one or two just to kind of keep it short and to the point like I did with this video. But thank you for listening.